¿Sabías que el trauma...
Hafa day hamzu todos gweno ni umeega parume ekungok. Welcome, my name is Michael Lujan Bevacqua, and this is the Kasiyas 2022 showcase. And so I wanted to welcome everyone. Sidus masi pari fanatun midzu para izum. Lo hamzu lokwi and agradece hamzu ni umeega gi Facebook. And so the Kasiyas showcase is something that we have done for 3 years now. I have taught Chamorro in the community for more than 10 years, but from the start of the pandemic, I started offering my free community classes on Zoom, and at the end of every year since then, we have a Kasiyas showcase in which students in my classes, whether they are puyitos, they're little baby chicks in the Chamorro language, or they are poya or tåndan, they are growing strong in the Chamorro language, or they are punidera, they are wise hens in the Chamorro language. Whichever one they represent, the Kasiyas showcase, as Kasiyas is the word for the coop that the chickens live in. This is a place where they can share their journey with others. And this is important. And I appreciate everyone who's come here into the Zoom, but is watching on Facebook. Remember, show your support for those who are learning our native language. Less than 20% of the Chamorro people in the world today can speak their native language. And the majority of those who can speak it are older. There's very few younger people who can speak Chamorro. And remember that with each passing year, we lose more of our manamku, our mañana. And so it's important that we pass on the language to those who are willing to learn, whether they be manenisia, whether they be mansoteru, or even if they are middle-aged retirees, maybe people who were punished for speaking Chamorro when they were in school, growing up in Guam, and they want to get their language back. Wherever they are, the Chamorro language is a wonderful gift to give. It helps those who receive it, but it also helps those who give it. So if you come from a family where you have parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles who can speak Chamorro, but none of your cousins, none of the grandkids can speak Chamorro, the gift of the Chamorro language is something that should pass from one generation to the next. And there may be reasons, there may be feelings of internalized colonization. There may be feelings of being not good enough to pass on the language. There may be trauma, people who were punished for speaking Chamorro, people who were told that their accent made them stupid or didn't make them as good as somebody else, or that it interfered with their ability to speak English. Whatever it was, it's just important that we overcome those barriers and that we let this language, which has been in the lives of our people for 4,000 years at least, that we let it continue on into the future. Paraguahu, one day, I hope that when they colonize the moon and Mars, I hope that there's somebody who gets off that spaceship and is like, hey, lanyag of manenghingwini. Maning esti. This is colder than basic training. This is so bad. I want to go back to the islands. And so I'm Mohon Igunifita. So today you will be hearing presentations from 10 different students who are bringing with them poems, stories, songs, interviews with their elders, and even some interesting creative things. You know, being a Chamorro, speaking the language is about learning the history, but it's also about engaging in the emotions of the people. So there's also some funny and humorous things that I'm really excited about here today as well. In addition to the presentation by the students, we'll also get 2 extra special presentations. At the midterm point, Gifen Lamitadzen, we will get a special video presentation from the Fanatsu podcast. And then for the close, for the very end of the presentation, for the end of this Kasiyas showcase, myself and then June Pangilinan, who is the coordinator for this year for the language immersion camp that we had earlier this year.
Did a good job today.
That June and I will be presenting on what next year's Chamorro language immersion camp that we'll be organizing here on Guam. And so, Sidus Masinu Hamzu Todos. Remember, if you're watching on Facebook, put favor, comment, Manunai Sumaska Hao, Hafe Familiamo. Please comment. And even if you are here watching in the Zoom, go ahead and post where you're watching from. What is your family name? Introduce in Maisahao, put favor. And so let me go over briefly so you can see it, our program for today. And so Nihita Pakpakias, let's give a round of applause for all of these people who are putting themselves out there. Hungan, if you're in the Zoom, mangiano na kanai na emoji, do some clapping hands emojis. Don't put the praying hands emojis. Even though you can use the praying hand emoji for just about everything under the sun as a Chamorro person, sometimes you say, "Oh, wish us luck," and then somebody gives you prayer hand emojis and is like, "Am I gonna die? Kobe matai? Is that what? Are you praying for my soul? Are you?" Oh no. But so you can see we've got stories, we've got stories of our elders, stories from their elders. Ginani patsot niha diretsu. We've also got a lovely song and some short poems and stories. And this one is very interesting. Aurora Santos has gifts, Chamorro gifts that she wants to share with everybody. Aporaudzo, very excited. I'm very excited. But it's important that when we gather, we begin with some ceremony, with some protocol to help sort of bless and prepare the space. And so Gofmagovzu, I'm very excited that Charlie and Avery are here so that they can begin this event with the Inafresi. So Nangon Ratu dispensa. Let me okay, here we go. So Charlie, Avery, Kolistu Hamzu.
Okay, so this is the Inafresi used to this is after my time, but you'll often have it at the beginning of meetings or assemblies. I'm going to be reading line by line, and Avery's going to follow what I'm saying, and we invite you to also participate and repeat after me. You don't have to unmute your mic if you don't want to, just whatever you're comfortable with. Inifresi. Ginini mastakulo.
Ginini mastakulo.
Ihinasoku.
Ihinasoku.
Imastakulum.
Imastakulum.
Gikurasonhu.
Gikurasonhu.
Zanimasfigu.
Zanimaspigu.
Naninya sinahu.
Naninya sinahu.
Hu ufresen maisadzu.
Hu ufresen maisadzu.
Parabai putehi.
Parabai putehi.
Zandifendi ihinengi.
Zandifendi ihinengi.
I cultura I linguahi.
I cultura I linguahi.
I airi I hanum.
I airi I hanum.
Zanitano Chamorro.
Zanitano Chamorro.
Nirenshaku diretsu.
Nirencia ku diretsu.
Ginin imeniainata.
Ginin imeniainata.
Este hu afitma,
Este hu epitma.
gis gradu,
Gi sagrado.
natuleng siha,
Natuleng siha.
iman mofa nata,
Iman mofunata.
zan totus banderen,
Zantodus bandaran.
tanota Marianas.
Tanota Marianas.
Viva Chamorro!
Fair
Biba. Woo, Biba. Hungen. Hungen, and I sympathize with Charlie's Yidamonkulo who Gidzaguahan. When I was growing up, they didn't say the Inafresi yet. And I also went to Guam Adventist Academy, so we sang Fanogi Chamorro in English as Stanji Guamanians. And so, but even if you are older and you didn't grow up with the Inafresi, learn it, read it, and share it. Sen bonito. It has such a beautiful message for our people. It contains so many things that we want to pass on to the next generation about what's important. Sidzus, Masi, Charlie, Zen Avery, Nai. Thank you so much for putting yourself out there and for being the ones to bless and to open the space today. All right. Pari otro na estudiante pago, the next student that we are going to have today, si Sisi. Hungen, si Natalie, Myla Harlem. I know she just came from work. And so what's it called? But she's eager to share something with all of you. And so Natalie, Kogagya Weno.
Half a day, everybody. Guahusi Natalie or Sissy. Tarabai in Taitatai, Vetgi I Enai. Okay. Ompoingi man guaifi du, hu guaifi nama momokat du, gi kantantasi, gi etongen I asaina. Anok gi mapagahis I sinisedeku siha, gi I linatlahu, gi kata susedimentu hulii, dos nafegi gi inai. Idon I asaina dan idoku anok. Gi anai anok I kilu na sedimentoku hu atan I fegi gi inai. Hulii na megai na biahi gi talan I linatlahu na unu ha na fegi guaha. Hulii lokui na adu ha na taiguenau gi anai tumatsaga dan puminitidu, mampus du en ke boku nu ini da hu faisen I asaina. Duus ilekmu na gigon hu taitidi hau undalek du gi linatlahu lau hulii na gi anai matu. Gi tinatsagaku una ha na fegi guaha gi inai tihu tungu hafataimanu na gi anai hu gof necesita hau na undingu du. Inepi du as duus. Lahihu guinaidaku na patgunhu husen guaida hau dani nyai na hudingu hau. Gi tinatsaga gamu dan pininiti mu anai unaha anok na fegi duhi anai hu hoogui hau. Si dus maasi.
Ooh, Sidzus Masi. And Sidzus Masi Sisi for sharing with us a translation of Fegigi Inai. And so it was a translation of footprints. If you footprints in the sand, if you're familiar with that story, the translation comes from Peter J. Santos. But Biba Sisi for putting yourself out there. Hungen. All right, Maulik. And so we continue on with our program, and Senora Linda Calvo, Colisto House, Senora. Negati o open house, Senora.
Do I say the English version first or or just the Chamorro?
20 taitaidos. Taitaidos.
Okay. Okay, pues, Lucas Taitano Borja, steward of the sea. My great-grandfather, Lucas Taitano Borja, was very connected to the sea. He was a good fisherman, spending many hours at sea. He made fishing nets and made boats, the Galidi. He transported people on the Galidi to Saipan, Tinian, Rota, and other islands in the Marianas. He was very dedicated to preserving the Chamorro culture and protecting the environment. After typhoons, he would insist that his grandchildren go out and pick up all the little fishes on the beach and toss them back into the ocean to ensure that there will always be an abundance of fish for the future. He would be disturbed at all the wasteful dumping and environmental problems now, as well as overfishing of the ocean waters. He was indeed a steward of the sea. Chamorro translación, si Isabel Borja Rosario helped me with the translation. Lucas Taitano Borja Cameron Tasi. Zoku bisabuelo ku as Lucas Taitano Borja umacheton gitasi. Gos maulig na pescador pumesca bula oras gitasi. Mafatinas italaza zan igalaidi. Ha konkoni total cada semana para Saipan, Rota, Jantinian, zan otro islas gi Marianas. Gos diboto zan determina protehi y cultura zan costumbri y manchemoro. Gos adahi zan protehi itano zan itasi. Jan gin pagju, después ma insisti, y nietas jan y nietos para u mahoka y dikiki naguihan, gikantantasi jan u mapolo halum gitasi, sagos importanti para conformi bula guihan todo tiempo en futura. Siempre joku mis abuelo inaborata zan lalalo sagos despedid shao zan tai respeto gitano zan gitasi. Magahit na camareron tasi.
Sijus Masi. Sijus Masi, Senora. And Ungan, oftentimes Senora Linda is traveling around the world. She sometimes, for class, she'll sometimes zoom in from Tuscany or from Italy. And so it's always nice when she's able to join, and then she shares some of her exciting journeys. Ooh, Atan. Okay, wait. I want to Malaguzuna Befanyuli Roto. I want to take a moment here, and then let's see. Atan todo estina bonito en tauta. Look at everyone in there. Feel free if you're angen asentado haulo maulika angen kalao how, whether you look asentado or not. If you want to turn your camera on, I'm going to take a screenshot of all of the lovely people here today. Ay de atenestisiha. Half a day. Oh, guahaneni lokwe. Biba. All right. So on the count of 3, I'm going to take a screenshot. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hopefully everyone's eyes were open and no one was like in the middle of going blah like that. Because sometimes when I take candid screenshots in class, everyone looks really nice and one person looks like kumeki mutai tauta, they're about to like throw up or something like that. Dispensadzo. Hungan, it has been so nice, sort of the Zoom space is one where it's getting tiresome in some ways, Zoom burnout, especially after several years of the pandemic. But for me, it's always kind of nice too, though, because for many of you, I haven't met you in person yet, although because of the immersion program, a bunch of you I got to meet in person earlier this year. And so if we're not meeting in Zoom, then I'm not seeing you and talking to you. And so that's why even though the Zoom burnout, but I think it still has lots of opportunities for us. And so the next sort of presentation is interesting because Zoom is something that we're using nowadays to perpetuate our language, to teach and to educate. And sometimes people feel like, technology is our enemy, but technology can be something that we use to promote our language, our culture, our view of the world. And so Aurora Santos is going to share with us next something which I know that more and more Chamorros are using, more and more people around the world are using. She's going to talk about Chamorro gifts. So Aurora, por favor.
Buenas, si Deus mais Miguel. Buenas, dan hafade todos hamzu, guausti Aurora Santos, familian Pandan, Citatau, familian Viking, Sinanau, Viking in Norway. Mafanyagodu gizo saipan za anay 13 años, gumigwato zu za familiaku para Colorado. Respeto sa nerviosa. Sumasaga zo pago giza Colorado, pago man presenta para todos hamzu. Pututuhon tetendi klasencia Chamorro estinasakan. Hugo agradece si Señor Miguel y tiemponya naha noiham y estudiantesnya sia. Dan hu agradece otros estudiantes sia loqui za y minatatnya nyeha. Fatitina sestina presentación sa guahuha y clase tautau ni zanya usa gif sia anay tumetetek si amiguko sia sa paraguahu nai hu hasu estina ideha hu para be tutun chamorun gif sia titungo no esta guaha Chamorro gif sia lo malagazu fumatinas estina gif ginen I sayings sia na hu ekunguk anay fama gu on zo. Buenti recognize Parenhamzu Palu na Sinongan Gwini. Está presenta be poti screen hu. If I can.
Hungen, Sinya ha?
Saying I cannot. I don't. If not, I share.
I have
Okay.
it. I have the link
Yeah,
too, but
okay.
okay.
Yeah, and can you click that top link? Yeah.
Esti?
Yeah. Let's see. Angin sinya. Okay. Maulit. Yeah. Esti Gypsia Chamorro. Yeah. Ti Megay. Tigua Megay. So this is from my childhood, Maila Estina Maila dan Omen fan. Gigiput di novenas. Siempre Omen fan, your uncle.
Okay, Hungen, nihitaten esticia. Hungen and put for say Pegagi comments like Manoi Masamo. Put in the comments which one you like. Oh man, Zahwesti Biba.
Yeah. Hafa un atanya Biba Pharaoh. Yeah, Bepati link kita the Bepati linki WhatsApp lokwi lo trabioti tungo taimano matinas publicly accessible Egyptia. I don't know how to make it like publicly accessible lo Bepati link. Gitu magahet. I
Hungen put forward Songen Gichat Manu Guf Zamu and what's it called? Un accepta loquino ginagao. You're accepting requests too, right?
Yes, yeah. So, Sinya zo Matinas y Malago. Malago zo Fumatinas Mas. So you can just send it to my email that I have in that link. So tzadik fan, siempre, you know, siempre tzadik fan. O nanga. Mahalang mo hago.
Esta hu na hanogwi si Desiree Nuesti. I sent this one to my girlfriend this morning.
You know, that's everything. So si tus masi miget, and you can send me an email if you have a GIF request.
Again, hey, Sidus Masi, Aurora Nita Papakis Aurora. Hungan. Hungan gof dudu sesti zomo presentation. Hungan. All right, and Hungan, thank you, Aurora, for reminding us how whenever if we feel like technology is taking away from our language, our culture, we have the ability to use technology to reinforce it, to keep sharing it, to keep it going. And so gofna hasuhit podeno gizomo presentation. And so Sidus Masin so Paugu, I want to invite June Pangilinan to introduce and share hers. And June's is the first of two interviews that we have as part of the Kasiyas showcase today. And so June, put favor.
Hafade Toru Samzu, Wahoo si June Pangilinan, Sumasaka Giza El Cerrito, California, who interviewed Tatahu Tomas Taitano Pangilinan, Sumasaga, Danville, California. Esti Mina Dos na interview, Mapus Nasakin, who interviewed Wi Loqui Lo, who interviewed Gi Mas English. Para Esti na interview, who Sagi, Mas Gifino Chamorro, Sumana zu Winina class dos pat tres años, who guaidza na comunidad, who guaidza edzat Gifino Chamorro lo maput para guahu, guanabiai, para esti na interview, guaha dos na interview gi tatahu zan gof bali zan sen regalu para guahu zan naniluhu. Sidus maasi.
Oh, dispensa nengon rato hungan estigi. Okay. Sidus Masi June esti.
Kotatamu pescador pat lancero, giasan?
Lancero si tatao antes, masotsuso giza Mangilaw, the experimental farm, giza Mangilaw. Manunugon si tatao tractors and gizano unalero, guina lugar.
Sangani zu pot esti na lanso zan hafa na klasi na gagasiha zan tinanom siha gilanso.
Gilanso mami giza asan mamamoksay si tataho zan sinanao dos tres granon baboy guahaga niya uno o dos na guaca zan bula manok siya. Gumagalo si tataho manananum mais na tinanom.
Koun adzudagwi pat koun setso lanso mizu pat gumamu.
Manajutsudazu ke lanson mami angin nuevo na tinanom mais. Upupulani tinanom mais puno fan kinano simidza ni manok ni paluma siya. Pozazu tseso mami ifamagoon inatetindi manuebo na tinanong siya sa puno magkinano isimiza ni manok sa ni gaga siya.
Ko un oson how pomulan I mais.
So ka oso gin mazo matago mo ni mananamu sempo yun sogwi. Uno osgi afa masanganene mo. Ang gin matago pompulan tinanong siya sempo yun sogwi so kazo mauleg na soso ipon sogwi imatago mo.
Para hagahu di pamulan I mais sa Gulf Ocean para hagahu.
Importante estina historia punidera Guam. Maataka itanota no itropan rising sun. Chamorro man masabit man maanya tan man mapuno.
Pagu nihi ta diskuti ocho na asunto. Ti namaguf na asunto lo esti buenti más importante para I historiata. Nihi ta diskuti I guerra. ¿Cuántos años how gi durante I guerra? Ko un 8 pat 9 años how singani du pot experiencia mu. Hafa un haso pot I guerra.
Ani tempo ni guerra de 1945 8 años o esta ani mabobombay sa Guam ni Japanese po matsuli sa Guam. Pusuhaso ani duro ibat ko na hindi mabomb sa itano. Ugosaso na duro malahalom Japanese siya sa gosma ano todi Chamorro. Después man maktus tayo Japanese man makoni todo tauto siya man mapolog kalalengya na concentration camp ni zaman Yangon. Masugwi zo ni Japanese po manafan nun todo Chamorro Jangan sa kaso na malago siya po fan mapuno mangai ito rin itauto gi unlugar.
Pues anay gi concentration camp gi durante I guerra ti un attendi escuela durante I guerra de Nancy?
Ungan taza no escuela guisa no anay muspekilo ni hobino escuela na americano pues taza anay no escuela gi tempo ni guerra pumara escuela guaha na lugar na Japanese matutuhon escuela pa mafanagwi ifa maguon tamano man finu Japanese Apunes lo taza gi sa mangilaw zo.
Ko un mapa attendi escuela gi Japanese lo ti un comprendi Japanese?
Tu gos comprendi lo azane makeke introduce vino Japanese ya. Tapi man mangfung ni unos tayo 10 ichine san sigo. Dan aja say man man mappo na palabra, man makeke famanagoy famagun, the man mangfung, the man maaluk good morning and good night, if you know Japanese.
Who hasu problema siha para hoguds and famiamuds and todo e tautau durante a guerra. Then who hasu pagu guaha pandemic. Then megai famagoon ti attendi escuela pat attendi escuela via Zoom. Then huhasu sainasiha lalalu sa famagoon ti attendi escuela pat ti attendi escuela gi Zoom. Then hutungu haguds and tautauta kitzaguahan ti attendi escuela para 2, 3 na 4 años lo todo y tautau ha still survived and thrived.
Taza antes na tiempo Zoom, Taza, yo tengo una fe, como es que lang Zoom, pues, Taza, na tiempo, man Zoom.
Para guahu, huhasu, haguds and famiaku, famiamu, tautauta, gof, met good, gof fuetsu sa experiencia na gi duranten zan taza escuela. You know, who hinengi, tautauta, gof fuetsu. Ko un benedosu tautauta loqui?
Enggak lekta man banidoso i Chamorro sama lo ti sa i Chamorro na tauto ne pudigos magwaija i americano matunguha na sempre man matutati americano.
Ko mahalang gi isla pat cultura pat costumbre Chamorro?
Enggak mahalangu sa tauto guamo ja Chamorro jo ja todo tiempo o hasu i islan Chamorro i Guaham Chamorro Guaham sa aju tauto aju na lugar. Misas masagajo Amerika pago todo tiempo hahasu i tanao gisa Guam sa aju na mangai todo i familaku dan i mampareho am na question ben mami ni i Chamorro siya na tauto.
Sa un practica zan hinengi zan uusa costumbremu ha giza san lago. Dankaluna si Zeus maasi, Dad.
Okay.
Go pagvedesi ha.
Okay, agamo.
Whew! Ay, bonito tutu now. Si Zeus masi Juns and Donklo agradecimento lo qui parasita tomo. And you know, June to think, and it's for so many of you to think you know, who a few years ago when some of you first started in class sort of not knowing much Chamorro, and then just to see you, June, your father talking to you in Chamorro, and sort of, and you being able to talk back, even if your Chamorro is different, even if your Chamorro is different and your Chamorro is growing every day, like just that image of the two of you sitting in the States after all of the experiences that you've had, sort of to come back to the language. And then it's truly touching. And so that's why I don't know if your father ever imagined too that sort of you would be speaking Chamorro and he would be speaking Chamorro to you about his life. And so that was a gift for me too, to see that. Sidus Masi. All right. Mengaigi hit gifan lamitads, and we are at the halfway point and you may not believe it, but we are more than on schedule. We are more than on schedule for this. What's it called? I padded the schedule so that in case we were starting really late, but no, we're on time. Okay, and so for our halftime sort of a special before we get to the rest of the presentations, I wanted to share something. So in addition to these classes, one of the things that I do regularly is we have the Fanatsu podcast. And the Fanatsu podcast, because of so much of the response that the community has gotten, it's a weekly podcast. It also produces a number of other things, but because of the great response of people wanting more things in Chamorro, the Fanatsu podcast has a whole bunch of different Chamorro-related content. And so, for example, every month, there are Finut Chamorro episodes of Fanatsu. And so these episodes go live on Facebook, YouTube, on Twitter, and then eventually after they've been audio edited, then they go on Spotify and Apple and Google, where you can listen to them and stream them. But every month we try to have a Finut Chamorro episode about a wide range of topics. And so, for example, this past year, we talked to Zoamti Donald Mangiola from the CNMI. Mega gay tiningot niya, pwede costumbre ni Surahanu, Surahana, a traditional healing. Si Senor Noel Kitagua, sumasigi San Lago Pagu, but he worked as an archaeologist in the Northern Mariana Islands. Mega tiningot niya, pwede koturan Chamorro antites, y anciano na kotura. This was a lovely episode honoring our elders, a Finut Chamorro episode featuring some of the students in the Zoom classes, such as Senora Chris, Kabadziru Betea, and Senora Pat Lezama, and others talking about their memories of their elders, but Gifinut Chamorro. And then one of my favorites from early on in the pandemic, Senor Joy Franquez, a musician, a Chamorro teacher, and then Ray Barcinas, a Chamorro teacher in Guam from the island who has roots in Luta, talking about Chamorro music, Chamorro culture, Chamorro language. And so Fanatsu has lots of things. So for those of you who are looking to hear people speaking in Chamorro, we have many different episodes, and every month we have new episodes. Just to give you sort of a sense. Okay, Estige, here we go. And so this is from Fanatsu episode number 161, in which we had as guests Senor Kin Conception, Joy Franquez, Senor Joy Franquez, and then Peter Santos.
Recommenda na para ta diskutis na asunto po di organica sa kalanuri pa para na meganya kita taweta no timagof comprendi hafesti na dokumento da tagigilek mo sinya ha mafunas haji no nisita ta hasu haji tumugi isti na dokumento ko hita ni man Chamorro tumugi isti ko ginin hita i principat gobernamento di Amerika by the people, for the people. no? Lo ti matititi esti na prinsipat esti organic act sa Kongreso ng Amerika tumugi. Ang ginon taytay organic act kula na no avado no ha osgi Constitution Amerika. Kula na matulia fino English ma-copy and paste, no? Todo diretso dan todo sistema gobernamento. Pues kung ginin ikuturan sa Chamorro esti na dokumento na ma-forma.
Taza hafa minaulik na no parehita kumutaza bosta za paresio masusedi hafa minalago niya. Pudi hebtu tagini pagu i-build up ni pare militar wini. Jan hafa siya masusedi distia zona tempo di ani man magtutati zaman na libre di 44 na saktan. No bula di masyala yung Paraguay ti para iminaulika itaw niya ha para siya ha iminaulik gana. Jataza hafa no sinya para tasangan hunggan mamaputetehit. Un menciona esti pira gila tatapa niya man maputetehit. Hunggan maputetehit sa itano niya maputetehit. Ti itaw no maputetehit.
I kooperasyon Amerikano masi militar niya di sigya matuli i tanu i Chamorro pa famanap sa marine base sigya matuli sigya madisrespeta inaftan i manaynata siya gi papa gi animangay gi marine base the pagwanling niya wow we're open for public comments the bula siyang total I did a comment niya off of that yeah swati Joey kumu tay dupur si comment manasuway comment section tinasudo a couple of months ago na manasuway comment section whoops something wrong with the internet let's extend this di may ikungo tema atan they don't care una putiyaw ani matumpo gitimomo dispensay lo biltoga talong imanago zo safa sa zokuhaw I own you finodi tato ni fiya magang gatig station staba I own you.
All right, and so that was an episode about the organic act in the Chamorro language, and so we're trying to create more resources, more chances for people to hear the Chamorro language in a variety of settings on a variety of topics. That Fanatsu highlights like that those are edited by Desiree, who also helped June with the editing of her video, and so. Mega bonito bedadanya esti na Palawan, si Desiree. Lo image bonito na bedanya esti na Patgun. Esti na Patgun hunggan si Tsagwangwang. And so Pagwa Makmata, she just woke up and so Tilistui Matanya. Nobia kahul. And so, but the support that people give to Fanatsu makes it possible that we can create more things in the Chamorro language and for people who are wanting to learn Chamorro. And so what I have for you today comes special from Sumahi, Masamko na Padgonhu, my oldest child, Sumahi. And so this is what I'm about to share with you is very silly, but I love it. I think it's very cool. And so how many of you, Gwini, Tumungu ikanta, how many of you here know the song Nobia Neni by Johnny Sablan? Hunggan kuantingwa ano nakanta? Hadzi Gwini Zanya ano nakanta? All right, Megay natawtaw. Hunggan, bunito to nakanta. How many of you ever wanted there to be a lyric video for that beautiful Chamorro song that uses stock images to convey what is being described in the song? And so even if you didn't know it existed, I guarantee that you will be very happy that it does now. So Sumahi has created this video, Kenangon Rakto, investigate.
kun mapagais Anay uli sineni Antis dia tinguzu Zahasana Antis diu maigo Nagwaizazu Hagunini Haguna palawa Ugui guifi Oni zampwengi Sazoku Zanzo muzu Nobianeni Haguna palawa Hagu aneni Ani zampwengi Ugui guifi Sazo muzu Zanzo kuha Nobianeni Sesu ahasu itiampu Por haguneni zani floresmu Zaudingu Zugi umpwengi Loesta neni tiulangan Sa tristi zuzango ahalan Konizu neni Zatahita hilang irisla Haguneni Haguna palawa Ugui guifi Oni zampwengi Sazoku Zanzo muzu Nobianeni Haguna palawa Hagu aneni Ani zampwengi Ugui guifi Sazo muzu Zanzo kuha Nobianeni Ipilan La 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 Zan malaki Tasi Anay pumeska Zugi umpwengi Lauli sineni Itrong kun mapagais Zahasanan Natiapman Pokonizu Haguneni Haguna palawa Ugui guifi Ani zampwengi Sazomuzu Zanzo kuha Nobianeni Haguna palawa Hagu haneni Ani zampwengi Ugui guifi Sazo kuha Zanzo muzu Nobianeni
Oh, again, the world is a better place because of that. Again, and so every starting next year, every month, Sumahi will take a different popular Chamorro language song and then create a video like that. So it's silly and it's funny, but it also, in a way, the lyrics are in Chamorro in a very fluorescent font color and in Comic Sans, right? That was Comic Sans. Oh my goodness. And so, but the thing though is that if you're wanting to learn it, the images clue you in though on what is being said. And so just a different approach, right? But the most important thing though is that it's fun. It's fun, it's humorous, it's silly, it teaches the language. Hungan, Imas Zahunapati, my favorite is the watermarks on the stock photos to make clear that they're stock photos. And so support Fanatsu, by many of you are already signed up as patrons. to support Fanatsu on Patreon. But if you're not there, I'm putting the link there so that you can sign up. But everyone who signs up to support Fanatsu gets free t-shirts, and you get access to a whole bunch of different content about Chamorro history, Guam history, Chamorro language, and so on. So put Fabot, support Fanatsu. And because every month that Sumahi makes one of those fun karaoke karaoke style stock footage videos, Sumahi gets a stipend, which will then go to Sumahi's college fund. And so that's sort of the Edzui Contrato Mami. That's the deal that we have made for Sumahi's participation and support of Fanatsu. So, all right. Oh, Estaguaha request, Hungan, be sure to submit requests. Hungan, tu'ul ilagohu, that's a perfect one. All right. Okay, so we are halfway done, and we are just about to start the second half of the Kasiyas showcase. Sidus Masi for everyone who is joining. And remember, if you are watching online, be sure to comment and say where you're watching from, and then also chime in with your family name. Put Fabot, represent your family. And so, okay. So I want to invite next, oh, Hungan, I see people have raised their hands. Hungan? Guaha question? Guaha Finaisan more? Oh, okay. Oh, no, Tatsuga. All right, Maulika. And so I'm going to invite Ray. See Ray Lujan now, put Fabot. And so if you don't mind, I have your video ready, but put Fabot, go ahead, introducing na ipatem.
Hungan. Nyot dan nyora I manyay nahu. Dan buenas and hofade manyaluhu. Si Diyos masi senyo para todo ibidamu. Inanhu si Ray Lujan. Inanaw si Loretta Barcinas Mata ginin maleso. Dan itatao si James Lujan ginin afami sinahan niya. Putugi esti na poema por itatao bihu dan I dos nanaw biha. But di mohon gosaham tu si Diyos masi. Man guiguifito kifinak mataho. Tiap mam na tiempo, guasen bonini tu na guinifio, en besita zo da manguento sit kifino tomorrow. Después di ano na haoni, husangon en mai sazo, tengen hu edzak mas tomorrow, siempre un besita zo talo. Pues en besita zo dos biahi mas ki ano nemes. Anay makmata zo ki kinahulo at daw. Estaba hu desesea mohon na mato ipangi. Cosa que sinia du maigo, pues guifi, tata fenyaso datalo. Lo, di manguifi tu put hamdu desti edzu na puengi. Ai mohon, malago tu bayo faisen hamdu megay na question siya. Hadzi iprimet na gunaitan mitu. Taimano en singun, en naon piniti ki kurason mitu. Taimano en pinititi finaitan niha iminyainan mitu. Hafa yet mas maguf na hinason mitu. Kogwaha sinet sot mitu. Sa imas donkulo na sinet sohu na tiu faisen hamzu ennaw na question siha na gaigi hamzu gitano. Gifino tomorrow, gilingwaita, ilingwahin mamfinanakwi hamzu nui mananan mitu. Tisinya tu sa mandaskakan sa hamzu. Lokat maju sa engin fumino tomorrow tu kalanha mandadanya hit todos. Ifinohu ginini finat nakwen mitu taninanan mitu taninanan niha taifinak po ilingwahita. Utungo pago nasinya hit komentus ki finak mataho. Sa engin fumino tomorrow tu kalanha gaigi hamtu gihilo tano. Sa engin komentus tu ki fino tomorrow. Kalanha fengingingi imanyay nata la pat dumaskakansa. Sa anay fumino tomorrow tu muna la I gwinifio tan kalan gaigi hamzo ki fionho.
Iba si Diyos masi aide. Goftadong eno na mensahe. Heidi. Hunggan zana si Jus Masi sa Re estaba ho estudiante ko gi Universidad Guahan zan pago gi estudiante ko ha gwini gi Zoom lokwe. But thank you so much. The Hunggan este guahat tauta mananang eski chat. We've got people that are already crying. Maulika sota eno na sota ilagot mo hunggan sota ishinenti zani piniti hunggan. You know, what's it called? Don't keep it in. Don't keep it in. Just let it out. Hungan, this is Esti Kasiyas showcase. You know, this is about, you know, celebrating the learning journeys of these students, supporting them, right? And one of the things that I've learned personally too, right, is that your language it can give you a different relationship to your elders, whether they are living or whether they have passed on, right? Because the Chamorro experience the soundtrack was Chamorro for thousands of years. It's only now that it's in English. But then once you kind of find the language and you feel it, and many of you who are in the class, many of you are in the classes or learning the language, right? You get that feeling once you start to learn enough na manguigwi fihao, gifinot Chamorro, you start to have some of your dreams a little bit in Chamorro, right? Maybe there's, you know, somebody, you know, maybe a tetsa appears and starts speaking in Chamorro, or maybe there's a cocoa bird that starts speaking to you in Chamorro, your spirit animal. But that shows that you're finding your way back. You know, that the roots, the language connects us across hundreds and thousands of generations into the past, and you are starting to feel that. Sidzus Masi. And so for our next one, we have more stories, more connections to our elders, more intergenerational transmission of Chamorro. And so I want to invite Clarissa Minjola, put favor, Cosinho introduci zomo video.
Buenas. Tada sakin tumaktanistos. Then Jesus Maasire, because I didn't think it was gonna come that soon. Hafide todas hamzu, si Clarissa zu, parizokuna video, comentos tu zen isainahu, mas liviano paraguahu, and I comentos tu zen I ochuna estudianti siha, lo zengen comentos tu zen isainahu, gof muma malazu, gof muma anyazu, pues gof mapo paraguahu. It was a challenge for me, Gifino Ingles, and this is just where I am in my learning. It's very easy to be vulnerable and to make mistakes with you all and in our learning environments and in this community that we've worked to build over these past few years. But when it comes to talking, especially with native speakers or folks who grew up surrounded by the language like my parents, I tend to get a lot of stage fright, even though I really want to connect in this way. So Gi idzoku video hutunga na latsitu gona biahi lo sen magatu lokui sa hutsagi and you know masa hahalumzu pagu you know menengen giza San Francisco lo masa hahalumzu sa dididi mamalo so it's difficult to hear my own voice lo puedi engosa idzoku video si just masi. Okay, na nahu hafai mas damu na hinasomo anay popgunhaw.
Mas dahu na inasu anay dinkikizu na popgun. Men hanaham todo zeni familia gitasi kada otimun simana.
Zahafo unso gwigwihi.
I menonku menunu katni zeni famagoon menhu gonduham gitasi.
Gof zahu anaw sa Puhasana anay membesita hit guahan esti na timpun samnak para guahu imas zahu na pati kada diha zang kada biahi menhano hit pari kanton tasi za gof zan niha I taxi I femagoon hu za gof hasuna kada diha después de cena Men hanu het pari kantan tasi, then men yongu het, men hagundu het, men yatsulek het. Za hugov hahasu anai huli I hagu then si tatahu then I femagoonhu gihalami tasi. And the monkulu I corazonhu, because that kind of full circle. Trust na generations gi family and mommy. Man yasaga hit giza guahan. Man gaga gi hit itanota. Then itanoi I menyan and mommy. Then si Felix and si Enzo. Gof magosa I tenota. Then and I matui ora para menhano hectati para San Francisco, who hasana sen tristi siha, si Felix sen si Enzo, then kumakati siha, then ilek niha, timalago zu humana tati sa beaches in California suck. Kof mananghangi tasi tibunito I inay. So, you know, enao I finena na biyahi mabesita guahan, I femagoonhu za gof malaguzu humana tati kada saken lo senguaguan now. So tisinya. So tatahu tatahu za hagu hafa imas damu na hinesotmu and I popgun now.
Bula zahuna ina sakuni ene padganolo unu mas zahu gitatine tempo nahi nan size pasetti anisu dikikyo na padgan sa samdan sitataon pomesca govzana sitataon pomesca no kada again ala size na indi dingui gima amiana dos Mapusam papa gitasi di aganya pat tamuning todo papa para Anigua from Anigua to Aganya up to tamuning. The talazeru se total govzane no pomesca ni talazane. The akokanizo the sanganizo Francis itu somu como Konnisti Guyan, Halai Talaza Gitasi, Tantani Guyan, Papa Guinai, Titomo Pun Oka Guyan Sia, it's a Guyan Maagan Tia. You know,
go Tikina Guyan Sia.
Yeah, the Kikilo T, the Kikikalan Manahag, Mas Dunkle than Manahag, Lo Tejik of Dunkle. Tatitizis the Taugis and Tati, Gagis the Tanu Atanianum, Zama Momoka, the Atanianum, the Kumali inu Guihensia, Halai Talaza, the Dago Gatigi Yanum, the Conito de Guihen, the Halai Talaza. The Bulala Guyangalam Talaza, the Mapus no Mamoka dulu gi inai, the Tantani Guyanza Mamodungi Gina, the Okata Opega gi alami basket. Yeah. Lo Wasa boy no Mapusam para Paseo di Sasana. Na manugan ng papa sa na Francis Saga gini ki pick up la beano be famoka sa beli ko guiancia kitasi tamano magi be you know sadiko no be beano be famoka za uli da kumutaza be fatumagi kumu gaha mata lokil za be you know the organo that the anonados. Then you know, sitata saga gini ki pick up the and I mark the sitata. So my matata singazo ki pick up the lahani. Yuri korasonu no. boom boom.
Maanya how? Go for Maanya how?
Asana fanana zute to talk. Like monos.
Hi, so go tikiki na pot gun how? Kalangi parehuna idat si Enzo.
Oh yeah. Isn't it the kid that to do? The lana durko mat.
Hi, Dave.
Also go get pick up the Malago to Papa, Gitasi of speak best of the thousand least the thousand and the Telezera of I said, hey, con lisi to town.
How's to Tomo?
Yeah, the boy, the Edzana momento, Uli si the town, no Malalago, Ali is a Nakamakati, the Malalago.
Hi, they not must be how.
Francis of no sangari jata punokunan zutizu. Pues at sikuzu sita taza duru to small ma pesan gati gimat in the taza no guian boy mita ono tati gimat zata tamana mossa. But it's una massa.
Oh, bonito na storia. Ti tadana hu hongo kena na storia.
Pues sangani hu agahu sa hafa un ke tungu I finu Chamorro.
Hukeke tungu I finu Chamorro sa I finota I kutarata sa I finota I mas bonito na regalo gini ni maininata. Sinia unu megay puri kutarate gini ni finota. Sa hinasoko na dengen mengwentos hit gifino Chamorro. Sinia mahungun kit I maininata. Sa esta mapo si nanahu biha. Si nanamu. Sa este man mate megay na maininata. Sa Kwaha megay na finaisenhu para siha lo tisinyahu faisen siha. So, sinyahu umedzak ifinota sa sinyahu fumanagui siha ifemgoonhu.
Biba. Woo! Jesus Masi Clarissa Hungan go bonito and now na videos and bonito I conversation loque hungan. And who confront me now? I think that it's okay to normally I'm against I think that we shouldn't be pretentious, but I think that beach pretension in the name of savaging and sort of ridiculing beaches in California compared to Guam, I think it's absolutely necessary. Because I went to Escuela de San Diego. I went to grad school in San Diego, and everyone from the US was like, oh my goodness, we're so lucky to go to school in San Diego. There's beaches here. Oh my goodness, the beaches are so nice. And then Humano de Palestina, sa Gaigi UCSD gives a La Jolla. It's in La Jolla. So Gofiho Nights and Cantantasi, very close to the beach. And so we went down there and I was like, this is so sad. This is so sad. They're like, no, this is great. I'm from Michigan, or I'm from Washington, or I'm from Texas. People were like, oh, I'm from this place, that place. And I was like, yeah, but I'm from Guam. And then, you put your foot in the water and you're like, it's the kalang finata. It's like death. It's like liquid death. No. So yes. Normally, I think that we should not be pretentious and look down on people, but I'm okay with it a little bit in the name of sort of, what makes a good beach a beach, something like that. Lo sidus masi that. Kalengi hanam girani san halami just hungan denancia now. Hungan. Hafatatat manu hamzu todos. How is everybody doing? I'm looking for our next presenter, Senor Peter. Kogaigehogi halami Zoom. So Bunti Taigui, Senor Peter may not be here. Lo Maulika sa hana izuni video. He gave me his video. so that he can that I can present it to all of you. And so, Hungen, Taigwigwi, okay. Hungen, put favor if you're in the Zoom or you're watching on Facebook. Peganai Manui Mazamu na Kantuntasi. Where is your favorite beach? And you don't have to say it's in the Marianas. You don't have to, but I would prefer it if you did. And so maybe it's somewhere else in the world, but where is your favorite beach? Manu imas bonito tu imas mangi na Kantuntasi. Again, let's nihita support the Guam Visitors Bureau. Let's support the Guam Visitors Bureau. Put for what? Hungen denancia na Senor Chris and gentisinyo and li'i patasmo dingui Kantuntasi. If you can't see your feet, get off the beach. Get out of that beach. Oh, Hungen, we've got some really nice ones here. Tagatseng, Orunao, Laulau Bay, Ipao, Pau Pau Beach. Oh yes, Sela Bay. Oh yes. Hungen. Definitely. Okay. So here we go. Taigwisi Senor Peter. So I'm going to present his. What Senor Peter has here is a short story with illustrations by Sumahi. So my oldest child who created the Nobia Neni video earlier, Ha'adzuda si Senor Peter, Hadzunga Igui, did some illustrations for this. But un historia ginin purun saina gilinat latnya un precisud and importante na saina gilinat latnya si Senor Peter. And so this is his poem titled Historian Nyora.
Nyora anaidiki pagunzo guana biai ma agunzo sigwelakko. Guau un tiempo gagizo gi halam gita hami gisala estaba sita taho tumogui hihutzo uhungu sigwelakko umesala. Peter boy! Pues suopi, what? Sita taho kalanalatia hasanganizo munga opi sigwelamo taiguenaide dai rispettuao. Mas saddigzo pun opi sigwelakko taiguini, pues umesalauzo nyora! Sita taho haatanzo kalampun panakzo lo kalansalaka sa umesalauzo gihalam gizahami. Malik natiha panakzo Sumalaka nuguahu. Kininestina dia tiha opi sigulakko. What? Anayagangzo uopi nyoranang.
Ay, de. Kinut. Oh, si Zeus Masi. Senor Peter para eno gof kinut. Okay, wait, mangi. Estigate. Again. And, for those of you who are in the language classes, for those of you who are watching, remember that the Kasiyas showcase is really just a chance for you to share something. And it can be a minute long. It can be 10 minutes long. It can be something very deep. It can be something silly. Not that silly things can't be deep. I think that I definitely think that they can. But bonito na historia and the wisdom, the wisdom that we get from our elders. Okay. Zahunay na kumbida pogo gaigi si Benny gwini no si Benny Anderson hungan obanti taigwi si Benny. Okay, wait, nagadzabe atan. I'm gonna look here. Taigwi si Benny. Okay. Kadzagwa be introduce you on your video. Umeega si Benny gi Facebook. Benny is watching on Facebook. Lo taigwi gi Zoom. All right. So here we go. So for our next presentation, it comes courtesy of Benny Anderson. And so Benny Anderson, he is one of those students in the Zoom classes where he always has a lot of ideas and he's always pushing to develop new ways to get the Chamorro language out there. And so I was very excited when earlier this year, he started the website isakman.com. And so isakman.com is a place where some of you have shared pieces on it. Clarissa has shared a piece on it. June has shared something on it. Senora Chris here has shared on it. Desiree has shared on it. And so simple stories, simple stories or poems or songs. My two older kids, Sumahi and Akli'i, they have written on it. Akli'i writes video game reviews in Chamorro language on it, and Sumahi writes song reviews for songs that aren't fun to listen to. For all the depressing songs, all the emo depressing songs, Nat Tinemba. A few years ago, Sumai asked me, "Taimanu be song an emo gifinut Chamorro? How do you say emo in Chamorro?" And I was like, well, I mean, you can say nafanyenti, makes you feel something, but it's not really emo, right? Because emo is usually more kind of depressing. So I said Nat Tinemba, depressing. Nat Tinemba. But anyways, and so Benny what he has to share with us is a piece that he had published on Isakman, but it's also it's a poem about sort of growing up in Alahan un bonito na song kisan hadza na bandan guahan. And so here we go. We've got Benny here with his piece. Wait, no, Tiano. That's the game.
Buenas and half a day. Biba Kasiyas and Magov Notsi Buena. Guahu si Benny Anderson. Tåndan Alonzo San Sumasagazu Gita San Francisco, California. Baihu Esterazi Hamzu una historia angindikiki na paganzu. San Baihu Taitaiji Hamzu un poema. Esterazi historia.
Oh wait, Nagon Ratu Dispenser. The audio is cutting out. Let me try this again, Dispenser. Dispenser ti seguro jo have problema. Let me just see if because I got a complaint that the audio was choppy on the live stream. So let me try this again, Dispenser. All right, estigitalo si Benny pada po fatozzo po open claro.
Buenas and half a day. Biba Kasiyas and Magov Notsi Buena. Guahu si Benny Anderson. Tåndan Alonzo San Sumasagazu Gita San Francisco, California. Baihu Esterazi Hamzu una historia angindikiki na paganzu. San Baihu Taitaiji Hamzu un poema. Esta historia angindikiki na paganzu. Dumankuluzu Gita Enalahan. Sweatizu sa uhungu ifino Chamorro cada dia. Uhungu gi gima, gi bisinu, gi gima zuus, jani escuela. Taja Xbox jan Nintendo, pues hu maganduzu gi sanhizum. Humanazu gi halam tanu jani sadda, jani kantantasi, jani sabana. Uhungu ki fino Chamorro gi giput jani gi lesaju. Huchagi matsotsuzu ki gualu jan guaha un babui loki. Tutuun pumeskazu angin dikiki na pagun. Un biai gi tempo na tulai, hua judai tautau sia na mangongoni iguyan. Dan mas donkulu na denanya I fiesta in San Jose. Kulan toru I tautau guahan na man motto gi sengsung. Sweati ju na dumangkulu di kita inalahan. Was by taitai poema. Así poema. Gagi dikiki na songsung gi sanhaza gi guahan. Lo suen sagu gui. Kulan man malefa sia na gagi I sengsung. Golf donkulu I halam tanotnya. Kulan na atuk gui gi hiason mia. Gua kanyada sia lokui. Kulanti manungu na gagi sumen bonito na songsong. Antes na tiempo, ponti mali I carabao sia na man malolofan gitalan. Sa man hahana para isado. Antes na tiempo, man mabisisita ia tulay. Pues mandanya I tautau sia na mangoni dan mangapati iguyan. Antes na tiempo, gua man lancero dan man meskadot. Man mangwagalu I tanu dan man memeskai gitasi. Antes na tiempo, man mabisisita todo I tautau guahan cada maju. Para man celebrate si San Jose. Taimano na gua todo este gin dikiki na songsong. Este gi fino English I poema. In Alahan. There's a little village so far away it feels forgotten. Jungles thick, it feels hidden. Valleys so deep, you wonder how come you never knew. There was a time when Carabao stopped traffic on their way to the beach. There was a time when the Tulay visits gathered all the people to pull in the catch and share. There was a time when there were farmers and fishermen tending fields and fishing the sea. There was a time when the island visited every May to celebrate San Jose. How come so much come from a little village so far away? By upega I poema, gi website I sakman I finota. Kagi gi internet dan gua gi Instagram dan I Facebook. Angin gua tempomu por favor soporta dan visita I sakman I finota. Cada dia gua historia sia dan poema dan gua juego sia dan estigi Chamorro wordo dan angin malago na matsonik na mona I finota. Por favor, visita I sakman I finota. Angin tihita, pues haji. Sejus masi, donklu na sejus masi dan biba I Kasiyas dan mago noche buena. Adios.
Biba, biba, biba. Woo. Punganan. So I'm going to put it into the chat. I'm going to put the website link into the chat, but put for what follow Isakman on social media. There's an Instagram, there's a Facebook, but you can go to the website itself and support, all it is a community space where anybody can submit something in the Chamorro language. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be deep, right? And so, I mean, for crying out loud, the last piece that my son actually put on it was just a review of Tetris, the video game Tetris. And so it doesn't, you don't have to sort of, you don't have to write something which takes us back to Fauna and Puntan every single time, because, Chamorro life is varied. And so Isakman is a place where people can share all of that diversity and all that variation. All right. Okay. And so we have just 2 more presentations, and then we are going to get to the immersion program presentation and updates. And so Malaguzuna Bekumbida Pagu Senor Patricia Buke to share her piece. Go Faporauzo. I'm very excited. Put Fabot Patricia, go ahead.
Buenos and happy day, Todos Hamzu, I Nananhu, di Patricia and Pokaigwi Buki, I Tatahu si debit Baza Pokaigwi, Tata Donya, dan I Nananhu si Josefina Camiga Rios, Tata Sinahanya, Sumasagazu Giza, Washington, who attendí y Chamorro lenguaje na clasiha para 2 años, then who attendí loqui y adult immersion language program giza guahan gi junio. Paini guaha cadenci hadzi guaha 8 sentencia pat clues Chamorro as an English. Put fin malago to tugi I opi gita, por favor. Malika, Colista?
Hungan.
Oh, esta. Para atman tihu tungo hao. Lo anai umasoro hit man guaita zu enseguidas para hagu. Maniente tu pas san hagu. Telling deposita na humihita. Hu haso haufihu, zen malago zu para bahu gasta mas tiempo con hagu. Ume e kungokau zen ume edzak mos pat hagu. Anai huli'i hao, mumala ki matahu zen parao I corasanhu. Hu sen guaida hao, zahu primesenta hao, I matgatsonghu zen I familiahu. Un baba I peta gi I kotorahu. Guana nai biahi tihu comprende how zen guaha menaput sumasangan I sinenen heteku lo suguaita how zahu ufresi na parabaihu consigi tatagi. Hodhagu megofstu I linatla kabalas guaha pas. Hutungu natumora zu zan I minyai hu zan initihu banadoso nuguahu. Hafa I enepi. Por favor, tugi gita. Alec. Kuguaita. Hungan, Chamorro na lenguaje de Nancy. Situs maasi.
Biba! Oh, Biba. I love Sidjus Masi Patricia. I love the Gof Zahunai, the Valentine's PowerPoint sort of setup too. Hungan. Hungan Huguaiza Ifinohu. I love my language. Sidjus Masi Biba. All right. And so we are down to our last Kasiyas presenter for today before we get into the language immersion program updates. And so put favor AJ, Becumbida Halpago, introducing I Estina Bonito na video. Zan canta loque.
Buenas noches, Manila de Manilu. Go si AJ. Za Tatamalolo zo lo Pago sumasaga zo gitsa Las Vegas. Esina kanta nanya Rainan Mommy. Za hutugis na kanta para si Leno Bihagi Banans Tatao. Za difunta Lisa Tato Taimangno. Za Usangwai Destiny na Palawan. Za Sinya Togi Todo. Za Malago Zubi Sangoni Gui Sidus Masi para Toro Bidanya. Za Esti Cantaloqui para todo y Famalawan Chamorro, Sidus Masi para todo Bidanizo. Sidus Masi.
Si tus maogan hau Si tus maogan si Sen mamis rain and mommy Ay san makat corazon Sen mahalang zuno agu Ay tay manudu songun Estina pinadesir Sen bonita corazon Tay hineku quinay Jesus masi para todo iguinay Sen mamis right and mommy Mahom luto lupiniti Kov me kurikanay niya Mabrutei familon niya Takiluitiningon niya Kinaftawi corazon niya Inagradecido Sa hoguray ng mommy Sen bonita corazon mo Tay hineku quinay Sin sus masi para todo iguinay At sukat ay guihaw kitanu Ganggay gyafin ay gwemu Ninayahanin malefa Ibendisyon mo na iyam Sen bonita corazon mo Tay hineku quinay Sin sus masi para todo iguinay Si tus masi para todo iguinay
Woo! Woo! Todo ipumakpakpak na kanan emojis para hogo. Todo anon emojis and I corazon emojis loki para hogo. Send Maulik track 2022 again. Hungan. Who else is going to have that as their #1 Spotify wrapped song? Pari Otrosakan. Hungan. Bonito to ano. Oh my goodness. Hungan. Still. Todo champo. Tumatang zugi. Estina dinanya. Oh my goodness. Always tearing up for these. Sijus Masi, AJ. Sijus Masi no hamzo todos. Thank you to all who put yourselves out there and presented. Hungan. And so before we end today, though, it's time to sort of look to the future. It's time to look to the future. One of the wonderful things that has come out of these Zoom classes is I mean, the Kasiyas showcase is a wonderful example of the community that can be formed. So just the fact that you can present to each other, the fact that there are dozens of people watching on Facebook, there's many people in the Zoom room who can see you, and the fact that if you wanted to write something in Chamorro, sing something in Chamorro, or you may be able to hear my youngest child shouting in Chamorro on the other side of the room. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a space in which you can be supported, in which people will give you todo y corazón emojis, all the kanai emojis, and so on. The more that we support and elevate each other, the more we lift each other up, the better. But another wonderful thing came out of these Zoom classes, and June Pangilinan, as well as others, were essential in making that a reality. And that is the immersion school, the immersion camp that we started and piloted earlier this year in June. And so for the last part, we're going to present on that updates for a second version of that, which will take place next July 2023. But before we get started that, I wanted to share a video created by Justin Kapili, who followed the immersion camp for some of their time in June earlier this year, just to give you a sense of what it is we are talking about. And then later we're going to hear from some of those who participated in it as well. Okay, Estigate.
It's in our hands. It's up to us. Todos it and Chamorro green. If we don't do it now, when and who's going to do it if we don't do it? We have to save ourselves.
Woo, man, that makes it look so epic. And give me a epic. It was pretty epic. It was pretty epic. And so those are some highlights from the immersion camp, the pilot that we held in June earlier this year. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the plans, some of the details that we have so far for next year. Okay, here we go. All right, can you see this? Malika, Language Immersion Program Experience, July 2023. So all the images here come courtesy of those who participated in the immersion project earlier this year. And as you'll see, there was a wide range of activities in addition to learning the Chamorro language. And so June, who was the main coordinator for this, June, feel free to chime in whenever you'd like to as we go through the PowerPoint. But this would all not be possible without June taking on the burden of organizing so many things, most importantly, reminding me when I needed to send her something or do something. It was very, and she emailed people, she called people, even though at Sokasumaskagi San Lagu, even though she's living out in California, she was instrumental in doing all this work on the ground to make it possible. And so, Hungan, I cannot thank her enough in terms of all that she did as a volunteer in making everything possible. Okay. Oh, wow. Ooh, Zahuanona graph. I like that animation with the page turning. Wow. Okay. All right. So the tentative dates for next year, July 2023. And these are the dates that we are aiming for, July 10th to the 21st. You may be familiar with that date, July 21st. That is Liberation Day, right? Sort of one of the biggest celebrations, commemorations on Guam. And so it'll start 2 weeks earlier. And then the final day will be, our goal is that the immersion program have a tent or a booth at the parade, along the parade route. And so that way we can barbecue, but we can also make it a space in which we celebrate the Chamorro language. We invite people to tell stories. We can do whatever we want, but I think it'll be a great opportunity. And so the immersion program is a 2-week program. We've discussed a lot and we've gone back and forth because ideally you want more time to learn the language, but also it's hard to set aside a month of time. But then again, if it's just a few days, then it's not enough time. So what we found is that 2 weeks is doable. We all wish that we would have more, but 2 weeks is doable for many people. And it can still provide lasting impact on those who participate in it. And so from Monday to Friday, you are in the program from 8 or 9 until 5. And then on Saturday, there are half-day opportunities. So, for example, on one Saturday in the pilot, we drove down south and we did a tour down south around the island visiting historic sites. And then, what did we do on the other Saturday? Was it a hike? Did we go on another hike?
We went on a hike in, I think, Tamuni.
Was I not there? I might not have been there.
You were there, and maybe Aiden and a few other people, or maybe one other person.
Oh, we went to Hilaan, Hungan. That's right. We went to Hilaan. Oh man, beautiful. That's right. Lost Pond, Hilaan, Sharks Pit, Tengisan. That's right. And so you spend days in the program, in the classroom doing those activities, but then Sundays are your own to do whatever you'd like. But Saturdays, there is an option to join for a half-day activity, which would be outdoors, sort of hiking, exploring, swimming, and so on. All right. And so the tentative tuition that we have for this right now is $1,000. Now, last year's was $1,100. This year, we feel that we can bring it down a little bit. There is the possibility that it can go lower, but we feel that $1,000 is doable. The $1,000, the majority of it goes to the partnering programs for it. So as you can see by this breakdown that June made here, 59% of all the money that was collected went to support Chamorro nonprofits and cultural organizations. So people who helped, they gave, so Pa'atautano or Pipit provided dance and chant instruction, and they received money. They received sort of money for that. The Chief Harau Academy, the students in the program got to go and work with the children in the immersion program, and then Harau received money for that. The museum, as a partner, donated my time so that I could be there to teach the program and also help out. And the museum received a donation. The Sagun Koturan Chamorro, where people learned to weave and also learned about proper feminine hygiene from Mama Chai. Allegedly, Taiguizu, I was not there, but I certainly heard a lot about Mama Chai's the Amut Famalawan. And so I have said nothing. I have not revealed any secrets. Okay. And so Sagan Kultura and Chamorro. And so all of these are places in Guam that are doing wonderful things for the culture, for the language. And what this program does is it just gives them a big donation so that they can keep doing what they're doing. And this was very important, was that that because so many of the people who will participate in this will be from the States coming home, and this is the Trans-Pacific Tsensuli, right? Is that, you know, you provide this tuition, and it means then that we can give it to the people who are doing the wonderful work that needs to be done. But as part of this, transportation during the program is also included. So we rented vans that could move the students around. Your lunch while you're participating, as well as breakfast, is also included in it as well. And then some money for supplies and stuff like that too. And so, so you do not sit in a classroom for this entire experience. So the way that we set it up last year was, or earlier this year, was that you would have classroom sessions at the very start of the day and at the end of the day for about an hour, sometimes longer. And then much of the day would be going around to certain sites which were very important in different ways in terms of the language, the culture, or the history. And then you, hopefully, while you go to those spaces, people are speaking to you in Chamorro and talking about things in Chamorro. So for example, as part of the pilot program, Pale Eric Forbes gave a presentation on some of his research. Frank Rabon taught some basics for Chamorro chant and dance. He even gave a lecture and presentation in Chamorro to the students. And my favorite, my all-time favorite moment from the whole thing, Vinny, is when Frank Rabon started, and he was like, and he's like, oh yeah, we got and then Vinny, Hahatsai Kananya, Vinny raised her hand and said, Cosinho un songen en autatlu, lo mas despacio, por favor. And then Sina Frank Rabon went over, and Hana Ingui Cinco gave her 5 and said, okay, hungan, maulik, ni hitatsogwiasti. That was my favorite. There were so many great moments, but Vinny sort of putting the Chamorro out there for Frank Rabon. Mas despacio, por favor. That was the best. But so they also went to the Micronesian Area Research Center to look at the genealogical records there, and also spent time with the kids at the Harao School, learning, you know, watching them who are being immersed in the Chamorro language from a young age, seeing the games that they play, even going on a hike with them. Ooh, and even this picture here, they went to the only Chamorro radio station on island, Kish 102.9, and they were interviewed by the staff there. And so these are some of the activities. We may do some of them again. We may add some new ones, but you will not be stuck in a classroom the whole time. You'll be brought out so it's a cultural language immersion experience. So you'll hear Chamorro everywhere, but you'll also be engaging and learning from people who are promoting the language, researching the culture, teaching the history, and so on. And so students are responsible for airfare and room and board, and your own local transportation when you're not in the immersion camp. And so however you can get to Guam, if you start paddling now, you know, I think you'll get here in time. If you get in a Sakman, I would tell you to go to Sakman Chamorro with Mario Borja, but their canoe is actually in Saipan. So you can't ride from San Diego down on that canoe. But so your airfare to get here, but also a place to stay, you know, and then getting around when you're not in the program. Those are your responsibility. Everything when you're in the program, though, is taken care of because of your tuition. There will be a videographer who will document it. And so the video that we shared earlier is part of the pilot, Justin, who went around on 3 days and followed people. We're going to hope to do that again, just to, you know, to help create more videos like the one that we just watched, which can inspire people in their learning. And then, but we do always ask you, and Sidzus Masijun, Naino and Pega Esti, flexibility is required because this is a ragtag operation. And so it's just, people that are volunteering their time to make this happen. And sometimes things work just the way they want. Sometimes they work better than you hope. And sometimes they don't happen in any way that you imagine they would happen. And so flexibility is always appreciated and required. And so this can give you a sense of how the program went for those in the pilot from June and earlier this year. So the main base of operations was the Hagatnya Library. So there was a small sort of community room there that we just barely fit into. We just barely fit into that room. And then we would meet there just about every morning. And then we would go over some vocabulary for the day. We would do some practice. And then after the activities, we would usually return back there towards the end of the day, where we would again do more practice, reinforcement, and then reflection. And then participants had their own informal gatherings. Jimmy D's Beach Bar, from my understanding, was a favorite. It was a favorite hangout. And so I don't know if but people also gathered at each other's houses. Si Ton Antonio, Zani Lahinia, si Alex, they opened up the house that they were staying at for people to gather at. And so there was a lot of community that formed around it. But everyone stayed in different places for the most part. Some people did room together, but everyone was you're together in the program. There's some social activities informally that people did, but then they sort of went their own ways. And so one of the things that we are considering doing for July 2023, next year's immersion program, is that June has found a lovely place, interestingly enough, near Jimmy D's Beach Bar. And so, which is right close on the beach. And June has visited it. You can see a picture of it over here. But we're thinking about finding a place where those who are participating in the program can come. And then if they want to, they can decide to, if they have the funds, if they have the means, they can also rent out a unit in that place so that we would all be in one area. So you wouldn't be required to do this, but if you wanted to, because one of the things that was difficult was, of course, that once everyone went their separate ways, it was harder to maintain the use of Chamorro. Because you may be spending time with your family who can't speak Chamorro well enough to support you, or, so June and me really feel that if we go ahead with this would be good, because not everyone has to stay there, but there would be shared like living areas where we could cook together, where we could eat together. And then one of the things that we're also proposing is that I would be there during the 2-week time. And then I'll always be speaking Chamorro to you. I may also then translate into English, but during the 2 weeks, I will always be speaking Chamorro to you. I may just then translate to help you if Angin Gof Gagatsa. But this is one of the things that we are proposing for this. And so we appreciate your feedback. If especially for those of you who are really interested, if you would want to do something like this. But we also know that you could save money by staying with family and so on. So this is not sort of a firm commitment from this, but we look forward to feedback to see if this is something that we want to pursue. And so for those of you who are interested in signing up, here are some things to prepare for. So we will, starting next year, early next year, we will have a series of meetings ahead of time. So in January or in February, we will have a virtual meeting. So if you wanted to ask questions, if you're really interested in signing up, then we'll have another informational meeting in which those things can be discussed. If you do decide to sign up, there will be a series of Gifino Ingles boot camp language lessons. So virtual meetings ahead of time. There may be 2 to 3 to 4, depending on the schedule, in which you'll go over like just basic vocabulary, basic phrases that you should be using once you come to the island. And then again, lessons to prepare you for what you're seeing, for what you'll see and what you'll do. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to invite those who are interested in sharing their testimonials. And so Hadzi Estina Tauto, let me I'm gonna pin all of you. I'm gonna pin all your Zoom boxes. So Clarissa Hungan, and then Senor Patricia, and then Alex Hungan and Vinny. Alex Hungan. And then Desiree Hogulokwe. Okay.
Aiden Lokwi, senor.
Oh, Gaigisi Aiden Gwini Lokwe. Oh, okay. Oh, Estigi hearings. Okay, June Benesauna Holokwe, I'm gonna add you to.
Oh, Olivia Lokwi.
Oh, Gaigisi Olivia. Hey, Biba. Okay, I'm just putting everybody who was there. June, Hagu, Lokwids, and Vinny. You don't have to say anything. Tina Sasardo, Naina Kumakuntos. If you don't want to say anything, you don't have to. But okay, so June, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I mean, it's humbling that, am I going now? It's humbling that we could be together. It was a pilot last year. And so Senor and I were talking and we really didn't even know if anybody would come. And so we did a bunch of planning, but we thought, oh my goodness, did anybody come? And they did. So I just really, it's like a dream come true. And the cohort it was amazing to spend time with everybody. And one of the goals is that we can level up, right? Because we're all practicing in different places, but what does it mean to level up? So the thing is, if we're able to stay together, it will allow us even more time to speak Chamorro. So I'm humbled to be a part of the work. I am in love with my cohort and everybody. I'm humbled. So thank you. Thank you. And my Maniluhu are here to speak about their experience too.
And so you don't have to, but I just wanted to highlight everyone. This is not everyone who is in the first cohort, but just the ones that are in the Zoom right now. And so, Senora Patricia Buente Hogo Finetna, would you like to share?
Yes, if you're considering, I hope that if you have just an inkling of interest, I hope you seriously consider. To just explain how impactful and transformational the experience was, a tiny bit of context prior. I grew up in the States with limited exposure to my Chamorro culture. And I say that with all respect to my parents. So then about 5 years ago, I started really thinking about my identity, Chamorro, racial, etc. And then 2 years ago, my oldest son, Aiden, who's here when we'll be speaking, we started taking language classes, and then we took this class. And then 6 members of our family joined us, and we stayed another 2 weeks. And so it was so transformational to really solidify our Chamorro heritage, experiences that we did not grow up in, and I did not provide Aiden while he was growing up, from family, language, culture, everything that you saw on there. And the ripple effects have been so huge. One of the questions that we were asked during the interviews at the end were like, well, what are you going to do when you go back? How are you going to continue to grow? And so continuing to take language lessons, connecting with the Chamorro diaspora here, embracing and representing Chamorro in every way possible in our family now. And in fact, I have the opportunity to be on a board now for Voices of Pacific Island Nations. And I'm going to be working with the director to start Chamorro language classes for some teenagers in our region. And so the effects have been huge. And so I do hope that many are able to take advantage of this opportunity and see just how much deeper your language and your culture can grow for you and your family.
Biba. Aiden, would you like to share?
Ungan. Yeah, so I guess I don't have a lot to say. It was a really impactful program, and I'm sure everyone will speak to that. It was my first time on Guam, and so I got to bundle the language thing and meeting like huge extended family I didn't even know existed. So that was really cool. I haven't been connected maybe to the Chamorro part of me for too long, but I feel like I just soaked up a lot while I was there. Like just seeing how people are so close to the land, and like you hear about things affecting the environment in Guam, and then you go there and it all becomes a lot more real. And like going to Fua Rock and everything was not something I would have been able to do on my own, or just like making it out to Guam. I don't know if I would have like made time for that otherwise. So I would encourage people in that like same place as me, if you've never been to Guam, to use this as an opportunity also to connect with people in diaspora, rather than going alone or having like, your second cousin drag you around the island or something. I feel like this was a really good group of people who understood each other, like finally finding a group of people who like were diaspora, maybe mixed race, like all of these things that we feel so isolated being in diaspora. So anyways, that's just my little plug. I think tips, I'm happy to talk to people who are interested next year, and we even have our just continuing kind of language group that happens every Wednesday. So we've become a group. I'm happy to talk to people as we get closer. But so my mom and I went together. I noticed quite a few kind of groups, or I guess pairs, were on the program. So that's something to consider as well. It's it's a commitment. You're like making a lot of mistakes and putting yourself out there. So I would maybe consider going with someone else or knowing a friend that's there. And then one of the things that I don't think I planned for, my mom and I planned for necessarily, was we stayed with family, and it was kind of like having a day job and a night job as well. It was like daytime we were at class, and then nighttime it was like up until 10 or 11 talking to family. So that's another just kind of measure your energy there. It was just kind of like a whirlwind tour for us. But yeah, happy to answer any questions if people have them.
Sejus Masi. Clarissa, would you like to share?
Sure, yeah. I mean, just echoing what Nana and Raina and Aiden were saying, and Auntie June too. I mean, it was a magical experience. I think we can all agree about that. And I mean, interestingly, there were a ton of pairs. There were couples. There were parent and child pairs. And I was one of the only people who went on my own. My family didn't join until after the program was over. So that was an interesting experience as well, just kind of getting to know who I was outside of my immediate family unit and trying to navigate this program on my own. It was definitely a growing learning experience. That was beautiful. And I was lucky that my family was able to join after the program. But I mean, Auntie June and Señor Maguette spent so much time, and Saina Gwinifi spent so much time kind of plotting out our days. And we had an amazing opportunity to learn from so many people who are doing the work every day on island, for our culture and for our language. Señor Maguette mentioned like Saina Frank Rabon, Saina Molia, Paula Eric Forbes, Saina Gwinifi, of course, Señor Maguette as well. So that felt really amazing to have been in these kind of virtual environments for so long, and then to see each other and get to know each other in real life. It's like, this is weird, but it's also really right. That was incredible. I would say the most powerful experiences for me took place at Chief Harao Academy. just being surrounded by all these nannies who are not inhibited by all of the baggage that many of us are as adults learning our language, and they're just so free, and they laugh and play in Chamorro, and it was so inspiring, and it kind of made clear my own responsibility to my own children. And I just remembered like telling Auntie June before we left, like she was really nervous if like the activities were going to resonate with people. And I was like, Auntie June, if we're in the back kitchen for 2 weeks, we're going to have so much fun. It's going to be amazing. I still feel the same way. In fact, some of my favorite moments took place in environments and activities that were unplanned. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. It was amazing. I hope to join again.
Sidus Masi. Alex, would you like to share?
Ungan, buenas and half a day, todos hamzu. Yeah, I definitely want to encourage as you're hearing this, if you have things coming up of like imposter syndrome, either language wise or culture wise, to affirm like, yeah, that those are real feelings, and this experience is still for you. I definitely had so much baggage for coming, just thinking of like, oh my God, like I still don't know my Chamorro pronouns. I mean, I'm still struggling with that right now. Let's be honest, like still don't know the pronouns. Like I don't have like the vocabulary or the grammar. Am I going to really be able to get, how am I going to be able to grow? And I feel like, yeah, I grew more in like 2 weeks than I had like 2 years online. There's just like, there's something like magical that happens, that will happen, like a guarantee will happen for you if you're able to do that. And then there's the part of like learning the language, and then there's so much, that's kind of like on the surface of what I thought I was going for, but really there was so much like cultural, spiritual, like empowerment and nourishment and healing that happened during those 2 weeks too. So you're going for the language program, and then you're actually like healing your ancestral lineage. Like, it's like, that's like a nice bonus that you're not anticipating. What was so special for me was I got to go with my dad, who is 80. And so that's something I kind of propose to all of you, is if you can find an elder in your family, especially Gesan Lagu, that the two of you can go together. It's because for my dad, I really wish he could have made it on tonight. Is that for him, he learned about, he was born a month before Japan invaded. And then like left Guam in 1959 and really hadn't been back, for any extended period of time. And so he was learning things about the Chamorro, our history and our culture and our language that he had never heard his entire life. So I think of whatever stage you are at with your language and with other stage you're at with your own Chamorro identity, like this is the right time to go for you, because it'll only be like amut for you, like only be medicine for both for your language and your heart. And I'll say too, for me, I'd been to Guam for like a week before when I was 10. And the time I went to Guam before, I went as a tourist, and what this program allowed was like the first time I felt like I was coming home. So really excited for as many of you as possible that are able to make it home this summer.
Sidus Masi, Alex, and Vinny, would you like to share?
There's not a lot to add after all of those things, aside from saying, absolutely, I agree. And I guess I'll say, now that it's been whatever, like 6 months, my mom and I went together, and we're still talking in Chamorro and texting in Chamorro. And we have a weekly Zoom with her oldest sister, where we go through Chamorro together and try to say things. And it's amazing. And excuse me, I need to shout at my cats now.
Sidus Masi, Vinny.
Sorry, there was a tussle.
Thank you all. Thank you all for sharing your experiences. And so I wanted to I wanted to see if anyone in the Zoom has some questions that they would like to ask. We can. I mean, technically, we were supposed to end 20 minutes ago, but this is, this is the virtual equivalent of the Chamorro goodbye. So this is the long goodbye, the multi-stage goodbye, the goodbye that begins indoors, ends outdoors, continues on to a restaurant, ends up at a club. This is the Chamorro goodbye. Another short, oh, what? Oh, we're gonna karaoke. Wait, what? Oh, wait, Hungen. And so, Senora Lillian. Hungen. Go ahead, Senora Lillian.
Buenas todos hamju. Everybody should know I know most of you. Inanu si Lillian Cruz. Sumasaka Juge to Santa Clara, California. Senor, sen agradeci ham por todo ibadamu para hami. We are all very grateful to you, Senor, for everything that you do for us. When I first started this class, which is almost 3 years ago, I think, like Patricia had said, I did so with my sister Florence. She's also here. We try to make it to the classes, and we've learned so much. We've learned to speak it, write it, and read it. Read Chamorro, our language, but we have a long way to go. So we're definitely a work in progress. After about a year, we bought the 2 bilingual books from the Guam bus, Sumahi and the Caribou, and the other one was Huguay Jahau Taiguini. We sent these books to our sister who lives in Alabama because we wanted to give them to her so that she could read them to her grandchildren. Alexander, who you may have seen on Facebook because he's on the Guam bus, I posted his picture. He is now 7, but he can read both the books in English and Chamorro. He knows the animals, very proud to tell you them as well. My sister Florence went to Alabama last month, and Alexander now has a sister, Harper. And my sister gave her a cookie, and after she got the cookie, all of a sudden she said, Huguay Jahau. And they call my sister, my sister Mimi. Now she hasn't been taught, but she's obviously heard that while her grandmother was, talking to her brother. So we're quite happy about that. Florence couldn't believe it when she heard it because it came with no prompt. She just said, Huguay Jahau. Obviously she heard it and she got positive reinforcements because that's what we do when Alexander says it. So we're really happy about that. But we see now that this has come full circle for us because we now can still pass our language down to the next generation. So it's all the things, Senor, that you keep telling us about, that you keep mentioning it to us. But we're so grateful to you for the classes that you give us, for the practice on Wednesdays for us in the States, for everything you do put on WhatsApp, all that takes time, for the Not Latla Ifanota WhatsApp, where you write a question and then we answer it in Chamorro. If you guys aren't part of that, please join in. Do that. That really helps, at me anyway, with writing, learn to write and what to say. I don't always get it right either, I know, but trying to say it, it becomes so much more easier, as you continue to do it. And then the Guam bus, we've supported the Guam bus, but you have so many good things there. The bingo game, the flashcards, the books, all wonderful. And Sumahi is very good at her drawing, and Ekli'i does on Facebook. You can listen to the words, and he does the audio as well. All wonderful, all contributing to us. The lectures you give, Senor, and also the information you give us from the Guam Museum, what you share with us, and you answer all our questions. And we do really appreciate your jokes as well. Some of us come to class for that. Anyway, one of the ways, of course, everybody knows is we have the Chenchuli program in our culture. It's a way to help each other and give back. So June has prepared a GoFundMe for Senor, and I put it in both the WhatsApp puyitos and also in the tåndan punidera. You can, add to that. You just pull it up and hit the link and you follow the prompts. So do that or do it in any way you want to do Chenchuli. Anyway, thank you, Senor. Feliz Pascuan, Noche Buena. Hope to see everybody next year. Have a good holiday, especially you, Senor, and Desiree and the kids. And sing us a song so that we can, with Desiree and the guitar, Desiree. Anyway, looking forward to next year. Sen Dankuluna si Diyos Masi, Senor, for everything you do for us. Thank you.
Hoguma si Diyos Masi puri senangan mo, Senora. And si Diyos Masi no hamzo todos. Thank you to everyone who comes to the classes. Because for me as somebody who has dedicated the last 10 years of my life to Chamorro in different ways, the more people that I see learning it, the better that I feel too. So I appreciate everyone, especially those of you who presented today, those of you who shared, just because Chamorros are small in terms of the larger world, and we've had quiet voices for quite a while, even though we can be very loud people. And so let's make our voice louder. Let's make it so everyone hears our songs, everyone hears our stories. And so these I look forward to starting the next round of classes in late January of next year, to keep this going, especially because even thinking back to 2020, when some of you first came into the Zoom, when I was transitioning, when my Zoom classes then was mainly my coffee shop students. And then people just kind of started joining from the diaspora because I put it on Facebook and Instagram, and then just started messaging people the Zoom link. And even today, to see where some of you are at right now, it fills me with hope. Makes me happy. Just to think, even thinking, like I was mentioning for June earlier, when June first came into the Zoom class, they're very, very little Chamorro, and then to see her pushing herself and speaking to her dad, interviewing him in Chamorro, like it was very fulfilling. Especially last year, interviewed her father in Chamorro, did it again this year. And Senor Lillian, to hear and see your improvements too. I can see you improving in every sort of text message, in every comment. I can see you improving. And so it's important to me too. So I appreciate all of the sort of the but I definitely appreciate all of you too, because it keeps me going. It keeps me going too, sort of thinking about those of you who can have a conversation in Chamorro now, who, thinking about how in a few years, some of you will just be speaking Chamorro the way you speak English now. And thinking about putting the language back into our world after so much has happened to push it out of our world. To me, that's very special. And I love that feeling. So thank you all for giving me that feeling of like us pushing back against all of the forces that have taken much from the Chamorro people over time. And so Hungan estiha. So I think this estifanakpo. Thank you so much to all of you. Kololonya hamzuni man presenti po. Those of you who are here and presented today. Sen bonito. Hungan sen bonito si Maria lo sen bonito estina denanya loqui. And Hungan will continue classes next month after a short break. But for those of you who didn't present this year, think about what you'd like to present for next year. And even for those of you who did, I would love to see what you're going to build on for next year. This was a Estiu sen bonito na finakpo para esti na sakan. This was a beautiful way to end this year. Sejus masi. Hungan. Okay.